45 minutes later.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
It is Wednesday, and welcome to the Dorkening, or should I say, what up, home slice? With us, we have, hey, James.
Hello, everybody.
Steven.
Hello, everyone.
And special treat, the Velvet Joker. Rich, how's it going?
Good evening. Good evening. It's your man, the Velvet Joker here.
So we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff today, but Wanda Vision, spoilers, it was Agatha all the time.
We already did pulling the strings, you know.
Oh my God, that intro was so awesome.
The least surprising surprise of the series so far.
Oh yeah.
But I really want to see that costume that she sort of morphs into, or morphs out of, rather.
Oh yeah. We'll probably get booted, but I have some of the music.
Who's been messing up everything? It's been Agatha all along.
Definitely a Munsters feel. What did you guys think of that?
It was cool. I heard a hip hop mix of it on YouTube today.
Oh, nice.
So,
Go ahead, Steve.
so my response, I usually don't do like post spoilers or anything like that, but I do spoilers without context on Twitter. So I did do a spoilers without context on after I saw the episode, and I don't know if you guys like wrestling or anything, but back in the Attitude Era, they did a storyline with Vince as the higher power of the ministry, and he revealed the cloak, and he was like, "It's me, Austin." That was my spoilers without context. So, any of you wrestling fans know what I'm talking about. That was my.
It was me, Austin. It was me.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, that reveal was at the Fleet Center in Boston.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about, but I love it anyway. So yeah, James,
I have to say,
go for it.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I think day one when they announced that she was part of the cast and they gave the name of who she was playing, everybody was like, "That's Agatha. Like that's her." Like, I mean, I think Nerdist had the best reaction. They were like, it was the most predictable surprise that we've been waiting for. I mean, I think the other one is Mephisto. And like I said, I still don't believe that she is the person. I just don't believe it. It was, for me, it really was, in my opinion, the weakest of the episodes up to date. I don't know if that has to do with the end. They're still trying to make the story flow and not rush to the conclusion. Because they already released the time of the next episode's 43 minutes long. I think
Yep.
I said 43 to 44.
43 or 47, something like that.
And so that means the final episode is going to be an hour because Kevin Feige says the series is roughly about 6 hours long. So doing that's what we're looking at. I mean, exactly. It was one of those episodes, especially in like longer series, where you have to have this episode to keep the story going. Do you think they should have had that reveal next episode? I think so, because this is either a red herring, another red herring they're throwing at us, stating that this isn't the true villain, because I feel like that would have been something that we've already hit that cliff. That wasn't a big enough cliffhanger for me to be like, oh, she's the end all be all. So that kind of turns into like what's going to happen next.
Now, does anyone remember actually where the Mephisto rumor came from?
I think it was when they announced that it was going to be these 3 movies were supposed to be like linked together. This, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man. And there were like the one common element through all 3 of those and dealing with magic and stuff was Mephisto, because he had a point in all 3 of these characters' arcs at one point.
Okay, because now I feel that Mephisto is not a lock. I feel like it could be Mephisto.
I've heard Nightmare.
It could be Nightmare, and then it could also be Chiton, who there was a storyline where he was he was a dark evil god, and he put all his evil spells and hexes into the Darkhold, which they revealed that sort of spelly, glowy book that people are thinking could be the Darkhold. And Wanda was supposed to be a nexus being for him to transport himself into in that storyline. So it could be any of these 3 godlike demonic creatures.
Well, I know they were saying that like the Nexus commercial is very much that she is, if you know the history of like Wanda Vision or Wanda, you said she's a creature of the Nexus. So she can jump between other dimensions very easily because she's an anchor point for that dimension. So, who knows if the snap or whatever opened this up or whatever, or her development of hex magic is kind of just growing to a point where she is now that conduit. But another thing I saw today was that book looks very, very much like a book you saw in Doctor Strange in the Ancient One's personal library.
Yeah.
Because there were books missing from that library. So is this one of those, like you said, could it be that book that it was in, with the Sorcerer Supreme and them, and maybe that's how Doctor Strange also kind of gets brought into this, is he's noticed this uptick in magical energy. I don't know if it was on this show or if it was a conversation with me and Jen that I feel like wouldn't Doctor Strange be very, very much aware of what's going on in Westview and want to kind of investigate it? Because wasn't that his whole thing in Thor Ragnarok is I monitor everything magically happening on this realm. So I have like a running list of like bad guys. That's why he gets Loki. So it's like, where is technically Doctor Strange if all of a sudden she supercharges this hex magic and expands this perimeter to a point where it's engulfing more and more people? Wouldn't you think Doctor Strange is like, should kind of go investigate this or do something? So who knows? So
it's certainly an interesting theory, but to put a MCU possible kibosh on that, she was developed by Hydra to develop her powers, so they're not true magic as far as the MCU goes. At this point, she hasn't been trained in magic, huh?
But
Agatha, yeah.
Like, so wouldn't that be if she's not from this dimension?
But
she's from another multiverse.
But what if she is a true mutant and had the magic abilities, but the Infinity Stone brought out her abilities?
Well, that's what the whole thing with Wanda is in Quicksilver was the Mind Stone unlocked something that was already there. So
somebody else brought up a nice connection where the time frame of Spider-Man 2 is supposedly after this. And, the science teacher kept on talking about witches. Think that's just a silly coincidence? Or...
Well, I thought, yeah, because I thought Spider-Man 2 happens like right after an Endgame, like a month or so after Endgame. So yeah, you're right. It would fall in that timeline.
Yeah, I think it's like 3 months. It might be longer because then they had to get ready for the school trip. So I think it's like 3 months or something like that. Where this here is just a matter of weeks.
That would be
No, but haven't the people returned from the snap at this point?
Yes.
Yep.
So Spider-Man 2, Far From Home, takes place.
Well, that's right. They
after the
come back
events
as
of
well.
Endgame.
Right. I apologize. Yep.
Because remember, that's the whole arc for him, was like, how, they're saying he's the next Iron Man. How can you live with being Iron Man? And it was just, you just had to be Spider-Man. That kind of.
Yeah, they beat the Iron Man to death with a crowbar.
Just kept beating him to just beating a dead horse.
Iron Man.
I mean, if you're not going to show Uncle Ben's death, you got to give him something.
Right.
So where do we think Wanda is? What do you think is going to happen in the next 2 episodes?
Who's well, the children are getting fed by the shark that was in the commercial with the yogurt. So they're being
well, that makes sense. Well, now that with this revelation, that makes sense, is because maybe whoever, again, if there's a red herring, because wasn't in the comics, they were both manifestations from Mephisto. They were part of his powers.
Right. His soul was in 5 pieces, and the kids were 2 of the pieces.
So technically, you could say they're drawing energy from her. Like maybe that's the conduit you saw in the, I'm so hungry, and the kid just wastes away.
Right. Well, or somehow the kids have to be a conduit, and a spell has to be done through Wanda to bring whatever evil being that is into our world.
Yeah, because it looks like the next episode is more of like that modern 2000 Modern Family look. 'Cause we've seen some clips and trailers of them still in that type of mindset that we have to protect the place we love. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think that I don't think Agatha Agnes has full control over Wanda yet. She's been just able to kind of push her with her emotions and kind of fill in the blanks the best she can. I don't think she's 100% in control of Wanda, or I don't think she can physically control Wanda as much as I think she would like to, because I mean, you saw it when she put the magic on her and she saw kind of the behind the scenes stuff. I don't think unless we're being mistaken that she's that powerful that she could literally, because remember Wanda was like, I don't know, I just woke up and I was here and I was doing this. And in her mind, she's controlling everything. So does Agatha have that much power to control her powers as well as kind of block out some of the past? I don't think she's that powerful. I don't know enough about her backstory of that character to know how powerful she is compared to Wanda, because the whole point of Wanda, she's the most powerful person in the MCU magically. So,
now, with everything glitching out in the beginning, like the milk changing, the lamps changing, the wallpaper went up and down. Do you think because she absorbed so much more area now and took on the clowns who used to be the sword guys, that maybe it's too much for her?
I love that. That's still one of my favorite. I still love that, as that transformation is still one of my favorites. Yeah, I don't think I think she can handle. I don't think she can control everybody, because even who said it? Oh, the kids are already back in their beds. All of a sudden, there's no kids anymore.
Right.
So.
Well, until Vision's trying to get in the bus and there's just a line of kids going by.
That whole interaction too between Darcy and Vision was fantastic. And it was super simple and down to earth. Because I was actually sitting there, I was telling Jen this. I was like, I'm really curious to see what she turns into. And then she's an escape artist.
Right
in front of the truck. I was like, Like, good job. Like, yes, thank you. That was fun.
She calls Vision a creeper.
Yeah.
So over on the splash pages, comic book club, we did pose a question about what people think is going to happen next. Zach thinks that Agatha is working with Nightmare, which would set up Doc Strange, not Doc Ock. And Jack Purcell says Kang may show up in some form as well. Yeah.
I think Kang is very much Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like that's his introduction. I know there was a deleted scene in Ant-Man and the Wasp, in which Michelle Pfeiffer is like, there's people who live in this area and you need to know how to like deal with like the politics of like negotiating this. And I think that was your subtle term that this is where there's something else in this area that they just don't know yet because they don't know the information well enough. I mean, I think Nightmare is definitely a big part of it.
Yes.
Now that people are talking about it, that character, because I think the question was always like, how do you, because you already had Dormammu in it. Like, what's Doctor Strange's next big baddie, other than Mordo, who is still my favorite. The bill always comes due. Strange. My favorite. I use that line every chance I can. Or like, like we were sitting there and I was doing my taxes. I'm like, the bill always comes due. When I was adding all I kept seeing my refund get lower and lower as I had more of my income in there. I'm like, God damn it. But we already know that he's a three arc villain. Like his big confrontation will be in the third Doctor Strange movie is going to be, because there was talk of him not even showing up in the sequel and him coming back in the third one.
There's too much going on in this movie.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's too much going on in Multiverse of Madness for him to show up.
Well, he's there. He's in the cast. He's in the cast notes. He's in merry old London filming.
So my theory that he could show up, at the end of WandaVision, just a theory.
I mean, at this point in time, I think everything's a theory.
Yeah.
They've literally turned every fan theory on its head almost every episode. So I don't put it past them. It just shows how like good these writers are.
Yeah.
That like they can predict to a point these fan theories and be able to string people along to a point and be like, nope, you're wrong. Like, nope, you're wrong.
And if it throws Leo off Reddit for a few days, then it's stringing all of us along,
We need to get his IP and like block the Reddit page for like the last week, so he gets no hints.
Today, pictures were leaking of the next two episodes. It didn't show any.
Why would you want it? Like, why?
Because
like,
it's on
why
my
would you
feed.
be like, hey, deactivate your feed, turn it off for the next 2 weeks.
He needs it.
Enjoy.
Give me my
Wanda
Vision now. Give it to me.
He's like, how long has it been? How long has it been?
Is it Friday yet? Is it midnight?
Don't get any more of those WandaVision episodes.
Leo, do you watch it at 12:05?
No. Is it available 12:05?
I just
It's
assumed
3 a.m.
3 a.m.
Yeah, it's
It's
12:05
midnight in Pacific.
Who watches it earliest? I don't watch it till nighttime, so I'm probably the latest. What time?
Yeah, I watch it at night with Jen.
Because the reason, number one, I work in the morning. Number two, if I even get to watch it at night, all these guys here wind up spoiling it before I even get to see it.
We've
at
been
night.
good about that.
Okay. So what are you watching it at?
Don't lump me in with Leo.
I haven't been spoiling anything. My lips have been sealed.
Do you want me to bring up the chat? I can bring up the chat and I'll go.
My lips have been sealed after the show airs.
That's why I purposefully wake myself up at like 5 in the morning to watch it. Go back.
Oh, I just mute you guys for 24 hours. Like I just turn off the chat for 24 hours. I don't even tempt myself. Because here's the thing. When I saw your tweet, with the Austin thing, I was like, okay, cool. We're gonna hopefully find who the villain is. So that wasn't really good spoiler without context because I knew that clip in WWF history. So I'm like, oh, good. Like maybe we'll figure out who it is. But it's also one of those things like that was such an obvious villain in the like you knew that was Austin or you know it was Vince McMahon prior to that moment. You're like, oh, it's fucking Mephisto. Like it's gonna show us. Like yes, like do it. And then another one of my friends, Joey from So Wizard, posted something being like, I love how Marvel can take a B to D-list heroes and make them very, very relevant very, very quickly. And I was like, all right, let's see what that is about. And then of course, when Monica Rambeau finally turns into insert one of her 8 comic book names here.
She's going to be Photon.
I don't know. Maybe the Photon or Spectrum, they said maybe because of the way she can see.
Well, I just assumed because that was like her mom's nickname, and they actually showed it at one point. So I figured that was definitely what I was going to go with.
So I wonder if she's going to be in Captain Marvel too. But again, that was something. It just felt like a lot of this episode was a lot of like, okay, like we're going to start checking things off the box that we have to we've been leading up to. So, cool. We have another superhero. That's awesome. That's added to another Avenger.
How cool was that vehicle that they were going to try to drive through the wall?
Yeah.
I mean, it turned into my dad's Dodge minivan. Well, here's my question then, and this is actually a question for the group: was that the aerospace engineer?
That's one of them because she had said us.
So, still those little breadcrumbs of.
Yeah, and we still have that.
Fantastic Four.
We still have Vision's. What the fuck? My mind is mush right now. He talked about working with an actor, finally getting a chance to work with an actor. We don't have that reveal yet.
Right. And he says
it's
not
very...
Doctor Strange.
Ooh.
Well, you can cross that off the bingo card.
Yeah, because he says it hasn't been guessed yet, and everybody's been guessing Doctor Strange.
How could it be?
Chris Krasinski.
Who could it be knocking at my door?
Well, with the Fantastic Four we talked about, we'll definitely probably get into the rumor that was I instantaneously shot down when I saw that come across. But for me, like I said, I'm invested. I have faith now that Marvel can handle these long stories in a short period of time. And I use long story format because the only thing we have is the Infinity War saga, the Infinity Saga. But in those things, the only other comic story they pulled heavily from was Civil War. I mean, they twisted it and altered it to fit their narrative the best they could to move the story into the next plausible direction. But this is something they took multiple comic books and made a long story out of different storylines, and they're making it work. For someone who like for Jen, we talked a lot about House of M, and she knew House of M just by me talking about, but we watched like a comic book breakdown of like why that is such a big point in the Marvel comic universe. And so it was that, and then the Nerdist has done a very good job of breaking down the Visions and a lot of the other obscure Avengers comics that they're pulling from. So it gives me more faith that Winter Soldier, what they call it, the Bucky and Falcon show, the Falcon and Bucky show is what it should be called. That's going to be really good, and it's just looking like Loki's going to be equally as good. I mean, if they're putting this much detail and this much energy into these shows, and they're literally just long movies, I have faith that these stories are going to kind of hold up to a point where it's going to do their job in the storytelling. So,
did you see they finally gave a date on Loki?
Yeah, it's literally these series are back to back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bad Batch is May 4th, and then June 11th is Loki.
Yeah, I think Loki's what, 6 episodes? It's like 6 or 7 episodes, and that has to do with the TS. It's like the TSA or something like that. The time something associated. It's some like thing that includes like time travel, and he gets caught and like he's held captive by them or something like that.
Yeah, and he has,
DC's version of Doctor Who.
or Sam Beckett. He has to put right what once went wrong.
Oh, Sam Beckett. he never left home. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, the last 2 episodes are really well. Like I said, again, this wasn't my favorite episode. Even like the mid-credit sequence that everybody was like, "There's a mid-credit." They didn't do like Snooper's got a Snoop. Like I would have been better without that clip. That didn't do anything. You have the range of the mid-credit sequence and the end credit sequence actually moving the story forward just a little bit. Like this one was just like, oh, she's just snooping around, which you would do anyway. Like if you're trying to save her because you know she's the reason to save everybody, I'd be like, where are you going? I'm going to kind of follow you too. Like,
Right.
So
And
do you think that mid-credit sequence was a sign that we're probably not going to get more like TV show like intros? Because obviously started at the 50s, and this recent episode was like now, with kind of like now era type of thing. So where are they going to?
I don't think so. I think because they even said they're not broadcasting anymore. Remember they
Right.
said there was nothing from being broadcast out of the hex anymore.
right.
Right.
And this was
So,
the Office / Modern Family.
right.
Which I loved. As any parent, that whole thing in bed being like, I am resting my eyes, 100% happens. Me and Jen both watched that and we're like, that is, some days the kids come up and I'm like, no, I am sleeping. I don't care. Like, go away. I am resting my eyes.
So my question was, do you think they're going to stop with that? Starting,
Yes.
yeah, that was my question.
I think the timeline is going to be very compressed. I think the resolution of the show, even though the timeline is already like super compressed, I think all this happens in like 4 days. If we're keeping track of like days in like the real world, it's only been like a couple days. I think that it's going to be very much Vision gets there shortly after like that whole reveal is done, and that's going to be just the last push for the towards the finish line. So because it looks like Vision and Wanda are fighting something together, because remember they're like, we have to protect our home.
Yep.
So what are they fighting? Who are they fighting? We'll find out.
So I think we talked about this on the comic show, but do you think that there's going to be more witches? My thought was like, and I saw a theory about this, the PTA group, is that like the coven of witches?
Dottie?
Yeah, but like all the adults that were there.
That would be interesting, but it sounds like these are just people who live in town. The only person who didn't have a card was Catherine Hahn's character and Dottie. Remember, those are the only 2 people that didn't have a profile when they're breaking down those episodes.
What if, here's a crazy theory I just popped in my head. What if it goes back to the beginning? Who was the mystery person that Agent Wu was looking for? Maybe that's the spoiler character. Maybe it's Ant-Man because of the whole Agent Wu Ant-Man connection.
Ralph. My husband, Ralph. It's gonna be Ralph.
And who's Ralph going to be?
Ralph Mouth.
Ralph is going to be Ralph. Watch Ralph be Wonder Man.
That would be cool. Simon Williams. Apparently, he's very
I
big.
always thought that was big in France.
He's big in France, apparently.
Hey, you know what? Those French. I like that Wonder Man.
I like his ionic power. It's very sexy.
So sexy. Would you like a baguette? Oh yes, the baguette.
Well, that would appeal to their French demographic.
There you go. I mean, like I said, I and you know, it's unless they completely go off the rails, and if the show all of a sudden went off the rails 100%, I'd be like, I'm sold. Like, I don't think there's much they can do to be like, I'm turned off by this all of a sudden. Like, in the amount of MCU stuff that's coming out this year, it's gonna be they're cramming a lot of storytelling in this year.
Yeah. Well, you figure we went an entire year without anything new.
Well, you kind of did the same thing with you kind of did the same thing after Infinity War. You only had one movie after Infinity War. It was Ant-Man and the Wasp. You literally, and I still go by the thought that Ant-Man and the Wasp shouldn't have come out during that time. You should have had a year off from Infinity War.
Yeah.
Well, then we had Endgame and then Far From Home, and then that was it, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Because the Black Widow movie that no one wanted to see,
right?
I mean, no one wants to see, comes out. I mean, there's 4 movies coming out this year. 2 of them I could care less about. So I could care less about Black Widow, and I could care less about the one with the 10 rings.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah, so we're gonna learn who the Mandarin is truly, and now that Iron Man's dead, and I'm like, well, that kind of defeats like the fun of it. Like, I actually watched Iron Man 3 today because I was like, I have a random urge to watch Iron Man 3. That doesn't happen. That's not something that comes out of a lot of people's mouth. Like, I want to watch Iron Man 3. And I realized, like, and then I'm like, wasn't there like a one shot in which like it's revealed that the 10 rings are like a true terrorist organization? So, but see, I'm looking forward to the Eternals because I don't know anything about them, so I'm just interested in like learning more about that and see how they do. And then I'm looking for Spider-Man. Like I said, I think the way Far From Home ended, it just and what's been rumored is just makes me salivate to a point where, like, even if it's all wrong, the one thing that has been 100% confirmed is
the
Charlie
name.
Cox. Well, it's been that, but Charlie Cox is Matt Murdock. Like, I loved him in Daredevil. I love that whole thing, but that just means Vincent D'Onofrio is actually still the Kingpin in my own sick little head because he was awesome as it.
Yeah, totally agree. So Spider-Man Home Slice, right?
Well, I can't believe you just completely glazed over the Fantastic Four firing random mill.
Oh, the Invisible Woman.
Yeah, I love. Was it you, Steve, that posted that? And I was like, nope. Like, they haven't even like. They're still shooting Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, they're not doing anything with like Fantastic Four.
Yeah, and then somebody said, "Oh, it's because she's going to be in the post-credit scene."
Like, still, like, I feel like that would have already been rumored. That would have already been spoiled if Jennifer Lawrence joined the cast. We know that the guy from The Office and A Quiet Place, I always mess up his name, so that's what I say. He's already been in conversations with Marvel. He's literally been in Marvel office with Kevin Feige. That's been confirmed by both Kevin Feige and himself. Like, that's more of a credible rumor that he's going to be Reed Richards or somehow involved in the Fantastic Four, even after they changed Reed Richards to look like him. Like, that. And also for me, Jennifer Lawrence, great, awesome. She was really, really good as Mystique in one of the 4 movies she was in as Mystique. I don't need Marvel to retread Fox characters. Like, I don't need that. I don't want that. I want them, like, if you're bringing the Fantastic Four brand new, give me 4 characters, 4 actors who wasn't in a Marvel movie or a Marvel property. You got very, very lucky with Chris Evans as Captain America. Like, let's not touch the stove too many times before you get burned.
But what if in the multiverse you see Chris Evans as
that's never gonna happen. Like, it's never gonna happen. They had to back up like 8 Brinks trucks for him to come back to sign that new deal with Marvel.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you that in that contract he's directing something.
Yeah.
Because that's what he wants to do, is he wants to direct.
Well, come on, how awesome would that be? He'd be out there. He'd put his hands up. He'd have his shield thrown. He'd go, "Flame on!"
Tom mentioned about Big Hero 6. I heard that was debunked. So
I heard that too.
yeah.
I thought that was really cool that if that was actually the case, that's really awesome that they would do that. But it's like, but again, like the whole multiverse possibility opens up a lot of these cool things to see in live action.
Well, my
So-
co-host made a good point about this. Obviously, Big Hero 6 is set in Little
San Francisco, Tokyo.
Yes. This would only work in a multiverse setting unless they fucked up Tokyo in some setting and merged Tokyo with San Francisco somehow. This would be the only way they could get Big Hero 6 in is if they did a multiverse type of thing. That is the only way.
And maybe Rich, you can attest to this, and anybody else. Was there like a Crisis on Infinite Earth type moment in Marvel, in which like all the multiverse kind of crushed down into one prime Marvel universe, or no?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that on a previous episode. And I think we brought Chris on it, asking like DC keeps on rebooting their series where Marvel doesn't. They just keep on expanding on it.
But Marvel has indeed retconned definitely some histories, even if they haven't rebooted the whole universe.
Yeah, because what's the comic universe? It's universe, is it the 616?
Yeah, 616.
So
America's Hometown Horror says came on late, but who would you guys like to see as your dream Sinister Six in the new Spider-Man? Now, the Spider-Man title was released today. It is Home. What is
No
it?
Way Home.
No Way Home. After trolling us with 3 fucking titles last night.
Yeah.
I can't believe you. Did you honestly, Steve, be honest, did you believe any of that?
No.
Okay. Because it sounds like you were like, I was fucking betrayed. Damn
No.
you, Marvel.
No, it was just the Lights Camera Pod, which is they have their own little blue tick, which hashtag verify super retro, by the way. That's another story for another time. I was just a little annoyed that a verified Twitter account podcast leaked that. That just is what annoyed me about that.
Well, it's because, what is it? Tom Holland, Zendaya, and the Ned character, that's all they released were those 3 titles. They each released a different title, and they all released a photo with those title releases.
Yeah.
And that was the joke in the thing, being like, they gave you a fake name too. Like that was, it's called viral marketing. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to have fun with it. You're not supposed to be like super mad at it, Steve. Like it's supposed to be a joke that like Tom Holland keeps spoiling stuff, so they're gonna keep giving him wrong information. Like I got the joke like pretty early on, especially when they announced the 3 main actors got 3 separate titles.
Oh, I got the joke. It was just annoying.
Why was it like tell like let's sit down, therapy time with James. Steven, why was it annoying?
Continue the conversation.
American Hometown Horror says the last directions to go. Could see some of the Raimi villains with the new Scorpion, Vulture, Mysterio, etc. Tom says, I still think that the title should have been Spider-Man Home for the Holidays.
Because it does take place around Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the title. I mean, it basically, I think a lot of people are going into the Spider-Verse with it, but I think it's a little bit more simple as that I don't think he's gonna have a home to go to.
That's what I like about it. No
like
way
I
home.
think he's in hiding.
Yeah.
And that's what in some of the pictures that you saw released in with the fake titles is it looks like they're underground, they're hiding, or he's hiding from whatever's going on. And I think that's what it's more gonna be like, you know, is that of the title. And so from there, like, because he, you know, with this revelation of him being Spider-Man, you know, he's not, you know, like if they're going to connect, okay, well, Aunt May's his aunt, so we know where they live, that type of, let's start connecting the dots. So I could see him kind of going into hiding to a point.
Yeah.
Or you don't think they'll just ignore that altogether, since now it's is it still a Sony MCU venture now?
Yes.
Or is it now straight up MCU?
So the agreement with Sony is that Sony can Disney can use Spider-Man in their universe
Right.
and use what characters they want within reason. But in the return is Sony can use anything that's in those movies in their movies. I think other than like Iron Man. But like any spider character they use in the MCU can be used in the Sony universe. That's why Michael Keaton is the Vulture and Morbius.
Right.
It's
Well, I'd love to see Keaton come back again. Oof.
Yeah.
He was amazing, the Vulture.
Oh, that whole scene in the car is still like one of the best scenes of the MCU. That whole conversation in that car. I remember seeing that in theaters. I'm like, if I'm Peter Parker, I'm shitting my pants. Like, I'm
right. On the way to the prom.
Yeah. But
Nope,
you know,
lost Leo.
Leo's like, I don't want to talk about pooping in pants. It's not happening. No,
Leo needs private time.
Yeah, here we go.
He's back.
Megan came home, so I shut the door.
Oh, okay. Such a good husband, Leo.
I try. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. Oh, what if now we know most likely Andrew Garfield and Toby Maguire?
That's right, Tom Maguire. Well, I love Tom Holland's. Like I read the script back, front to backwards multiple times, and if they're in it, it's a surprise to me.
One of the leakers online said that's fake. He's lying. But anyway, what if
do you just want to see the movie? Just ruin. You want a copy of the script so you can just read it and just know what happens?
So I'm thinking if other Spider-Man come in, maybe it's like somebody sees him and Spider-Man like in the same room, and then that's how he gets his life back.
All right. Can anybody out there do animation? Because can we have like a guy like from Marvel with got in his fishing line and Leo going,
Exactly. It's the whole Geico commercial. Like, you almost got it. You almost got it. You almost got it. You almost got it. You want to spoil it?
Better than that.
We got him. We got him. Reel him in.
No. So, but for me, like it misses my concern. And I said this multiple times. Like, I think Sony and Marvel too is a little bit like wicked horny how well Into the Spider-Verse did. That they want their own Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And I think that's more Sony than Marvel, and Marvel has to play nice if they want to keep using the characters. So I don't think that they wanted to venture too far into like the Spider-Man, multiverse, just due to the fact that every time they want to make a movie, they have to ask permission to use another Spider-Man character. So I think that's more Sony being like, well, we have all these spider movie based things that we want to kind of have Tom Holland in, and Venom's the big one, but we have Morbius and we're going to use the Vulture. And I think at a certain point, Disney's just like, you know what, if we want to keep using Tom Holland, we're going to have to bend to a point. And I think this acquiescing.
Just buy something.
I would be okay with that. That means, Ghostbusters would maybe be released this year. And maybe they would actually invest, into like more Ghostbuster stuff, but that's neither here nor there. But they would never do it because ghosts aren't big in China, so that's why Ghostbusters was never Ghostbusters. They don't advertise.
Ghosts are big in China.
No, Japan. They're huge in Japan. They're not so big in China.
Okay.
Stop being racist, Leo.
Sorry.
Go. Damn it.
I just want to say,
would you like to see some spoilers?
yes.
We are the ghosts of Reddit future.
Wouldn't it be the ghosts of MCU future? Yeah.
No, because you Reddit. You like everything about Reddit, so it'd be from them. That's where you get your spoilers.
It's just where I get my news, and I enjoy the communities there.
Yeah. Okay.
Just give Reddit a try.
I like crack cocaine, but I don't do it every day. Like
I'm just saying that, if there's a
there too.
if there's a community that you want to belong to, it exists on Reddit.
Yeah, I
Leo
also
belongs to it, God damn it. So that's the end of that.
that makes Leo happy, and if that makes Leo happy, that's what matters.
Yeah, like I subscribe to like a sharks community and then the spoiler community. And,
He's got a
Unfollow
lot
the
of
spoiler
stress.
community.
Working on the Dorkening podcast. Let him just have his Reddit.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
you
say I rewatched The Amazing Spider-Man recently, and I that was a good movie.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Which one was this now?
That was the Andrew Garfield one.
Sorry. It was okay.
I mean,
For that or the Tobey Maguire one?
the climax of that movie was somehow all the cranes in New York lined up exactly on that main avenue to get to Oscorp Tower. Who would have thought of all the construction in New York City, all of it, all the crane operators were working at 11 o'clock at night to turn their cranes onto the main street. I mean, what are the odds of that happening?
Jabo says, I wish they would release Morbius this year. And also, it's almost like from Civil War when he went into hiding to protect him. And Tom said, I heard that Tom Holland didn't want to change his hair due to the hairstyle he's using for Nathan Drake in Uncharted.
That is correct. He also said that it was hard for him to turn back into like a teenage boy again because he was such like a manly man's character for Uncharted.
He needs to go on YouTube and watch himself doing Umbrella. He'll feel less.
I still chuckle at that all the time. I like
It's beautiful. It's a great performance, absolutely. But
well, he was in what, Billy Elliot, the Broadway for Billy Elliot. Like, a lot of those flips he does in the movies are real. Like that's actually him doing it because he's actually like a trained dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because what would he say in the interview, in the audition, in the script, it told him to do a backflip, and he backflipped onto camera, like in front of like the casting director, and they were like, "Check," like they were like, "You didn't have to do that."
Anything else we should chat about Spider-Man? Did we miss anything?
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, please don't YouTube monetize us.
Well, I know I we're running on time, and I know you wanted to talk about Superman and Lois.
Yes. When they announced the new Superman for the Berlanti universe and who they cast it and even like the suit and stuff like that, I was kind of hesitant about it because I was like, I really like Henry Cavill as Kal-El, and I really like him as that character. So when they announced it wasn't it wasn't like this big jack dude. It's like I was actually Leo, like you should try to like work your magic to try to get him on because they're doing super amount of stupid press on the show. So maybe we can get lucky with a cool interview with him. But like he's like he reminded me of Christopher Reeves to a point where he wasn't like super jacked. He has just like enough like a tonal structure. And then when they cast Lois, it was like, wow, that's Margot. It's Margot Kidder, like younger. Like,
Yeah.
wow, okay, they're really hammering home the original Superman right there. So and I saw him in like Elseworlds. I saw him on the Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earth. I kind of saw those iterations, and I kind of was on board. And so when they said like, oh, they're doing a Lois and Clark or Superman and Lois, I wish it. Lois and Clark would have been fantastic. Superman and Lois show. And I was like, okay, cool. And then when they announced it that they had twin boys and it's going to be them like doing that, and I was like, okay. It goes back to what I've said about Superman. The best thing about him, and I think it's one of the things they don't touch upon, is how he tries to deal that he's a human. Like they keep throwing these huge villains at him, but sometimes the hardest thing for him to do is being a human and a husband to Lois and being Superman. Like that whole dynamic of him dealing with that. And it looks great. I watched it was on CW. I watched it this morning on the app. It was free. And I was sold. I was very impressed with the storytelling. They brought back the original suit. He wore the original 1936 suit, that was in the comics. And he's like, nice suit. He's like, my mom made it. And he just takes off. And, it gives the whole thing about him and Lois and, they're the boys. And it's a really good, so far, again, it's the pilot episode, very good storytelling. It's not hammered down by like stupid drama. It's very much him trying to be a father to these two boys and be Superman and be a good husband and a bunch of other stuff that happens in this episode. And it sets a fantastic tone for the show. And the big thing, you've seen it already in the trailers, is the boys are like 15, 16 years old. They just started freshman or sophomore in high school. They don't know their father's Superman. It's because he doesn't want to like burden them with like, you're half alien, you're half I'm Superman. Like you might have all these powers. And the big chunk of the first episode is very much them talking about that and being like, why don't you tell them? And like one kid suffers from like anxiety. And so the whole thing is like, you're going to tell my son that who's even so distant and feels alienated that he's actually like half an alien. Like that's going to make it even worse. And like that whole dynamic is just fantastic. And like when the kids find out that he's Superman and the reaction that they give, it's like I would probably do the same thing if that's what I found out. Like I've been lied to my whole life, and these work trips that my dad were on was actually him, saving the world or doing all this stuff. And it was just very interesting in the way they're doing it. So I'm excited. I kind of want to see where they go. Also, there's the ending of that. Leo, did you watch it?
I did.
So the end of that episode, it's a huge thing. And it was confirmed today that he is a result, the villain is a result of the crisis on Infinite Earth. So, it just basically ends like Luthor, so it's a Luthor who's got a bad villain, but it's not Lex. It's a different Luthor. So it's pretty cool. But he has like a mechanical suit like Luthor does, and I'm very much like on board with it. So
Yeah, I have to tell you that I was not on board with it because I didn't really care for him in, I stopped watching CW, and Rich and I actually talked about this last night. CW became too drama heavy, and like Flash was great, when it first started. And both you and I, we didn't really get into Supergirl either, but it's the CW just, I don't know, just lost its luster. And then, I didn't really have any inkling to give this a try, but lately the trailers that they've been showing, the sneak peeks, it started to look real good. And I gave the first episode a try, and I agree with you. It was really good. And
it was really good storytelling. And at the end of the day, that's what makes it good. It's not like in the actors are acting their ass off. Like I still like the guy who's playing Superman. But with the Flash, it's very hard to have a Flash show when you go through his whole rogues gallery in the first season.
Yeah.
Like you're in season 7 now. And like, how many times have they gone back? How many times has he gone back in time to do Flashpoint? And how many times, like, it's just,
and it was the running gag is, he's the fastest man alive, but every week is somebody faster than him,
Run, Barry, run. Like, and I didn't feel like Barry Allen was a whiny little bitch. I thought he was a sarcastic, on his toes, quick-witted guy.
Well, we'll see that kind of Barry in Snyder Cut.
Oh, we didn't think we'd do it, Steven. But we did it. It always comes back to Snyder Cut. Always.
Anyway, before there's something I wanted to mention. There was a piece of news I shared like a couple hours before we went live. Couple Paramount movies are going to Paramount Plus 45 days after its theatrical release.
Yeah.
So, finally, Paramount is riding the Warner Brothers or HBO Max hype train now. So,
and what were those two movies?
Mission Impossible 7 and Quiet Place 2.
Okay. I think it's cool that they're bringing them to Paramount Plus, but 45 days later.
I don't mind that. Like I would if that's what Disney did and got rid of like the tier, like the Premiere Plus thing they did, I'd be all for that. Same thing with HBO Max. Like I don't care that they're released the same day as in the theaters. Like if a movie's that good and the theaters aren't still open in my area, I can wait 45 days to see a movie.
Better
Like I
safe
don't
than sorry.
exactly like especially like as it's getting nicer. I mean, it was like 50 degrees by me. Like I don't know how nice it was by you guys, but you know for a fact, the second the snow's gone, any drive-ins that were open last year are going to open as early as they can to start making some money, and they're going to start putting out movies. So I know New York's opening theaters in New York City, and I know California's opening some theaters in California. So, we'll see what happens. But for me, it's like if I have to wait 45 days to see The Quiet Place 2, I wasn't a fan of The Quiet Place to begin with. I'm in that minority. I just didn't. I like the storytelling. I just didn't think it was an all around good movie. The ending kind of sucked. But Mission Impossible 7. Like Paramount's not coming out with good movies this year. Like,
Yeah.
what's another Paramount movie? Like, I don't think they make movies anymore. It feels like.
Top Gun 2, but I think that one was delayed.
Yeah, that one's delayed. But like, I don't think Top Gun. I think is 100% going to be in the theaters. That's going to that was their IMAX push for this year or last year.
Is anyone in here in a rush to go to the theaters?
No.
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 And that's the thing. That's the only thing about Disney that I think James and me share like the same gripe with Disney, that they should put their movies on Disney Plus. I know you don't care about Black Widow, James, but when they did their Spider-Man reveal today, they said coming this Christmas only to theaters. Well, we don't know what's going to be. We don't know a month from now. We don't know 6 months from now what's going on with this pandemic.
Oh, Sony's probably not going to let it be on Disney's only platform.
Right.
So my friend corrected me on that. It's Sony has stake in the movie, so they're not going to let it be on a Disney centric platform where they're not going to get a share of the movie profits. Makes sense, but again, no Spider-Man properties are on Disney Plus. None of the Disney.
Does that mean Sony is going to bring out their own streaming service?
I would if it gets me Ghostbusters in a reasonable time frame. Yeah, like I'll find a way to watch Ghostbusters. Like I don't care.
Put it on Vudu or iTunes.
Yeah, but like I said, I think it turns into like the pirating. Like I think a lot of studios, the people who don't like Wonder Woman, even if you have HBO Max and you didn't watch Wonder Woman, they still got your money and they can put that money towards Wonder Woman. Like it doesn't matter. That's why I think the $30 extra for like Ray and the Last Dragon
or Mulan,
like that was stupid. Like guys, you already have the money. You already have 96 million subscribers at $10 a pop. I think in 1 month you have your money back for Mulan. Just saying. But like I said, it's just I understand why they're doing it. I get it. But again, you guys, like Mortal Kombat's coming out in April. I'm excited to see Mortal Kombat. But again, if HBO says, well, we're gonna wait 2 weeks or a month before we release on HBO Plus, okay, great, awesome. Not gonna stop my excitement from seeing the movie. It's not gonna be like, fuck that shit. Like, I don't know. Like, guys, like you have an audience. You literally have a captive audience.
Yeah, for the record, HBO Max has been putting out the same day they release movies. They've been putting out awesome movies. Have you guys seen Judas and the Black Messiah? Even Tom and Jerry in 2 days from now.
Just don't even start with Tom and Jerry. Stop. You stop that. If I had a rolled up piece of paper, I'd whap you on the head with it. Like, stop it. Don't encourage them.
But
you encourage them, they're gonna keep making bad movies.
But Judas and the Black Messiah was good. I will stand by that. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but it was good.
I didn't see it yet.
Stop it. Bad Steven.
Probably better than Justice League.
You'll find out.
It was so good they made it twice. Right, Steven? It was so good they've made it twice.
So bad they made it twice.
Hey, if it wasn't good, they wouldn't have made another one. Just saying.
People-
I like emo dancing Spider-Man. I enjoyed that. That was fun.
It's because people wanted another cut. That's all. And now they say have Jared Leto posing as Jesus Christ. I mean, that it's just more fuel to the fire. Is it March 19th yet? So I can get it over and done with.
Excited. He's excited. 4 hours of your life.
I'm excited so I can get it over and done with. That way I can watch it, put it out of my misery, and then watch Falcon and Winter Soldier. That way I can get excited for that.
Be out of your misery because we're going to be talking about it over and over again.
Oh, Steven, I'm going to become your highest tier Patreon the day before it comes out, and every other week, baby. Hey, can I get an updated review of Zack Snyder's Justice League, please?
Scene 5, 2 minutes in.
At 3 hours and 27 minutes.
I'll do it every couple. I'll do it like once every 2 months or something like that, just to bring and the show. Steve, how? And I'll put a little counter. We'll have Leo put a little counter in the corner to see what DCEU movie count you're up to this week, and just be like, I hate all of you. And then we finally get up. We finally show up for a con or an event or something like that when we're able to do that. All of a sudden, he just comes out wearing like a leather jacket and a baseball bat. Like, get in front of me, eeny me.
We we're just fooling with you, Steven.
Oh yeah, I know.
But we're still gonna have you watch it.
I know.
Well, you have to think that you're
It's
gonna
4
watch
in the
it by
morning.
yourself.
Yeah.
You're gonna watch it by yourself, and then we're gonna do a watch party as a Dorkening family, and then we'll watch. And then you'll get a Patreon request to watch it again. So you're gonna at least watch it 3 times, at least 3 times.
Right. And then the time you watch commentary.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we no, he's gonna be like, this sucks, I hate this sucks, he sucks, she sucks, they all suck. Suck.
Just
the credits. This still sucks. Suck.
Yeah, I think we're over time now.
just a little
4
bit.
hours and it's like sucks.
So what if Zack Snyder releases a black and white edition also, kind of like the commercials?
Yes, even more content. It's gonna be the super retro Justice League Snyder Cut review podcast. Yes. I'm making t-shirts.
The Wanda Vision version, where Wanda comes in at the end. Welcome to the multiverse.
So one more thing before we wrap things up. We posed this question last night, talking about what if.
I love you, Steve. I really do.
What were your thoughts if the mouse buys DC?
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't think would ever do it. I don't, because I don't think Warner Brothers would ever sell it.
No.
But just entertain it happening.
Okay. No, I don't think it would. Again, and this is maybe old comic things. I don't think they would merge. I think they're too independent. They're too separate. They're their own entities, and I think they respect each other too much as comic book entities. I think that would be very negative on both sides. I think it would look very corporate on Marvel, the House of Ideas, and very cheap to DC, being like, you couldn't hold your own when you have better, well-known properties. So I wouldn't want that as a fan, because you're literally just basically everything's going to Disney. I mean,
But would that
It's
be
like saying if Coke bought Pepsi.
yeah, I don't think it would ever happen. I think
who drinks Pepsi?
the South.
Well, it's frozen Pepsi now.
Too soon.
Slowly. Hey, it's keeping me. I'm working. I'm making like $700 extra a weekend by working weekends. I'm paying for my My vacation.
Nice.
But
No,
if they were under the same umbrella, though, just the thought of even if they kept them as two separate entities, if like quarterly we got a crossover storyline, that'd be amazing.
but see, I feel like the two companies could do it regardless. I think if the comic book division worked, because I still feel that the comic book divisions are very much on their own like wavelength. I don't think I don't think the Disney has much input into the comic books as I think Warner Brothers does with DC. So I think if Marvel Comics reached out to DC Comics, was like, "Hey, do you guys want to do another crossover?" I think they would be down for that. I really think, because it's basically it's going to appeal to the comic lovers in general, but it also might bring in new people who only watch the MCU or only watch, DC movies, being like, I've always wanted to see Iron Man up against Batman, or, Doctor Strange up against Zatanna or Constantine or something like that. Like, you could do very simple crossover, even if it was like one character, and you sold like over a year, you had, like I said, maybe every quarter you had a new character reach out. But again, I don't think it would be very much DC v Marvel. I think it would be DC and Marvel. I think that's the best way to do it. And you'd have to create this new villain or entity they'd have to battle together or something like that. I don't know. But
Because supposedly AT&T is sort of like, because they're on top of Paramount. They're like, yeah, DC Comics, it's, they either want to possibly spin them off, sell them, or just let them rot on the vine.
I
It
thought Warner
doesn't like they're
Brothers
giving them much support.
AT&T owns Warner Brothers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know AT&T actually owned Warner Brothers.
I have a
Parent
friend.
company of the parent company of the parent company.
I have a friend who worked for AT&T, and he got HBO Max like the first 2 years free because he worked like part of the corporate.
So it's feasible that, if AT&T thinks that DC is on its way out, I mean, you still have all these amazing characters and amazing backstory. It'd be smart for the mouse to snatch them up and then maybe keep it separate, but then properly run the movie divisions.
I think Disney got hit pretty hard when they acquired Fox, that they're not in the business of acquiring much more for a while. They've literally bought two major franchises, two major companies in the last 10 years. And then they bought Fox. And again, you got to remember, the Fox deal wasn't heralded in Hollywood. No one liked that deal.
I think Wolfie said it best. I think he said, it was years ago, that you're not going to see Alien, you're not going to see Die Hard, you're not going to see any of these under the Disney umbrella, even though they revealed that Star thing. But it's only going to be for like, not us. Any country but us are going to get like Die Hard and Alien and all that stuff. So the movies we grew up on, that's Fox property, we're shit out of luck. Unless you have a Blu-ray of it or it's on Plex.
Yeah. I mean, it's not healthy for Hollywood to only have one or two studios. You limit the availability of ideas to be put out there. And yeah, Disney has done very, very well with Lucasfilms to a point. They've done fantastic with Marvel. But again, they bought Marvel to get it away from Paramount, because they saw how good Iron Man was doing, and they were like, well, we want that. So, and that was Bob Iger's thing, is he just, he bought Pixar, he bought Marvel, he bought LucasArts, and he bought Lucasfilms, and he bought Fox. I think the House of the Mouse is done acquisition IPs, and if it is, I think it's gonna be like individual IPs they're gonna purchase. The only other major thing I think they could buy would be, I think they would go out of their way and pay just for Spider-Man, just to get out of that nightmarish deal they have with Sony.
Yeah. I mean, they already have like X-Men and Deadpool. That's Fox property, so, and Fantastic Four. So
And they just got Luke Cage. They just got Jessica Jones and Iron Fist back from Netflix.
And Punisher.
Yep.
Well, time will tell. We'll see what happens. But regardless, Steven, you're going to be watching Snyder Cut on the 19th.
Yes. I know.
We're all going to be watching it.
Yeah, totally. Facebook user says, could the lady in Wanda Vision's growing yellow flowers be Arcana, the blonde spellcaster and member of the Squadron Supreme?
Oh, Dottie, maybe, because remember she said she runs everything in Westview.
Yeah. And also they said they make back what they spent on Star Wars when The Last Jedi came out.
Oh yeah, they're in the black with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Please,
I mean,
the whole Avengers run from the whole MCU run rather. I mean, they were just raking in cash like by the buttload. So just because they've been gone for a year, don't think they're out of money.
Oh yeah.
well, what they made they made 2.8 billion on Endgame, and they made like 1.9 billion with Infinity War.
Yeah, and that's just the 2 movies.
Yeah. And every movie they make is $1 billion maker. Like Far From Home made $1 billion. Like they're fine. Disney's not hurting for money.
Yep. And they're getting the monthly influx now too.
And the stocks are growing.
96.6 million subscribers. That was their goal after 4 years. They got it after a year almost. They got it after what, a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, Verizon gave me a free year, and that just is up, and I'm paying for it.
Yep.
Well, I know we're past time. We'll wrap things up. Steven, where do you like people interacting with you?
Super Retro Throwback Reviews on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As you can see on my my name tag right there, we have a Patreon, and we updated our tiers about a month and a half ago, and we have 2 new Patreon backers. One of them is Leo. We have a $1 tier and a $3 tier, and you can back us at that website. You can get so many perks from voting on which top 10 we do. We just put a poll up to getting exclusive mini episodes, which we call The Rant. I posted a new one today where I complain about one-way grocery aisles. And you can request a movie for us to review. A movie from the 1900s to 2019, not Snyder Cut. Anyway, I did put rules in there. So
updated rules, because I have a screenshot of the rules when I signed up.
Yeah. But anyway, you can hear our podcast, Super Richard Throwback Reviews, the audio files on all podcast distributors, and CSI The Vegas Files on all podcast distributors. And I'm part of the Dorkening Podcast Network, and every Wednesday here on this show.
Okay. Rich.
Evening, everyone. And you can catch me, Rich Davis, on Facebook. Tuesday nights, I'm here on the Dorkening Podcast Network on Splash Pages with Leo. And you can see me at Velvet Joker 2021 on Instagram. That's me.
There we go. James.
You can find my personal account as tweets and Instagrams at Longtime Storm. You also can follow my show, It's Go Time with Jay and James. Every week, we try to drop a show either Tuesday or Wednesday, audio version. Then we do the video version uploaded on Friday, so you can see what we're talking about and see our lovely faces. But with that also in mind, on March 17th, It's Go Time with Jay and James is taking over. We are taking over the Dorkening time slot for our St. Patrick's Day spectacular. So tune in on that fantastic St. Patrick's Day. Drink a beer, wear some green. We got some fun games we're going to play. So it's very, very Dorkening inclusive. So we're going to invite all our Dorkening buddies and pals from the network to join in. Like I said, we're going to play some games, tell some jokes, listen to some Irish music, have some beers. Very, very festive. That'll be happening on St. Patrick's Day on this very network, on this very live stream at 9 p.m. So definitely I'll be hyping it up between now and then. So we hope to see everybody tune in and go from there. Leo?
Cool. And for me, just Google Leo Pine. You find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. But what you will find is I run something called the Dorkening Podcast Network. Over 30 shows on the network. Some awesome people putting out awesome content. And just head on over to Dorkening.com, thedorkening.com, and you'll find everything there. With that, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Peace out.
Later.